And obviously, this has been a long, ongoing thing throughout the entire summer. And the season's the season's about to start too, pretty soon. So now Jonathan Kuminga is officially signed back to the Warriors. So let's talk about the deal that he signed. The Warriors finally signed all the players. We all knew that it was the Jonathan Kuminga situation that was holding up everything. Like I've said on this channel, and obviously I don't have the inside reports. But there were plenty of reports that were basically saying like Al Horford, D'Anthony Melton, and GP2 would um, be on the Warriors, and then obviously GP2 would be re-signed. It was just a matter of figuring out the Jonathan Kuminga situation, and then Seth Curry, Steph's brother, he also signed to the Warriors today. That was reported pretty recently that it was probably going to happen. But a lot of things were just basically waiting on, Kuminga and seeing, what was going to happen with him and stuff like that. So, first, let's talk about Jonathan Kuminga. So, Jonathan Kuminga signed a 2-year, $48.5 million deal to come back to the Warriors. Now, well, a few things. Number one, he if you remember, if you watched my live stream and I was talking about it, one of the things that was being disputed with the contracts was that he didn't want a team option, because if you go back and watch the live stream, I explained the difference and why a team option versus player option can be significant, especially for someone like Jonathan Kuminga, who is looking to get his payday eventually, even though this is obviously a very nice this is a nice contract, because it's 2-year 48, right? But that combined with the flexibility of him wanting to be able to determine his future is a big reason why player option versus team option could be significant for someone like Kuminga. So that was one of the main issues, I guess, when contract negotiations were going on, according to the reports. So this this contract that's 2-year 48 actually does have a team option next year. So obviously not ideal for Kuminga, but the reason that reportedly he rejected the 3-year 75 or whatever it was to maintain flexibility and control of his future and stuff like that. So although it was more money and it was longer term, obviously if 3 years versus 2 years is different, and come January he is eligible to be traded if it gets to that point where both sides, like the Warriors and Kuminga, want to part ways. He could be traded at the trade deadline, and then obviously that changes everything as well. So I think this is a good deal for the Warriors. I think it works out well for them. I'll talk about both sides, Kuminga's side and the Warriors side. From the Warriors standpoint, 2-year 48, if we do 50, that's 25 per year, right? So 48 is a little bit less than 25 million per year. So the reason that is, significant and good for the Warriors is that 25 million, I know we talk about it all the time, the salaries in the NBA keep, increasing and changing and stuff like that. So, 10 years ago, 25 million was LeBron James, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant. Those were your max guys. Maybe it was closer to like 30 million for them, but like it was like 25, 30, maybe 35, like there wasn't $60 million per year contracts. So, um, like a decade ago, 25 million was either your number one guy or one of your, like, main guys. Like that was kind of the sort of the amount that they would get paid. Um, so obviously, again, the contracts and the money has changed. So we can't look at it from, from that standpoint and be like, not just him, but any of these contracts, because again, the money is completely different. So don't look at the 25 million and think, oh, 25 million. It's not 25 million from a decade ago. That's number one. And that's not me diminishing, Kuminga's value, because if you watch this page, I am a big fan of Jonathan Kuminga. I have said many times, perennial all-star, superstar potential written all over him. But I'm just saying, like, don't look at the money from that standpoint. So, okay, 24 million per year approximately, right? So the reason that that dollar amount is very good for the Warriors is because if they want to trade him, and, right now that kind of seems like the direction it's been trending, if they want to trade him being on the $8 million contract, the qualifying offer, that it was, is more beneficial to Kuminga than the Warriors. One, because he would have a no trade clause. I believe he got rid of his no trade clause by agreeing to this deal. Correct me if I'm wrong. That's one thing. But the second thing is, and more significantly in a way, is $8 million is not going to get you, usually, especially someone like a team like the Warriors, they're trying to contend and stuff like that. It's typically not going to get you someone who is, a star maybe, or maybe like a really, really young player who could turn into a star, but they're still on the rookie deal, and stuff like that. Because $8 million is from Kuminga's, rookie contract, right? So the 24 million or so gives them the necessary dollar amount to be able to trade for someone who, you would assume who is making $24.5 million as well, is someone who is established veteran in the league, maybe up and coming, could be like 26, doesn't have to be like 32, doesn't have to be like an older player, but that dollar amount gives them the ability to trade for somebody who you would think, again, if they're making 24 million per year, they are someone who probably could and will average maybe 15. Obviously on the Warriors, they're not going to be the number one option, so you can't look at their statistics like, oh, they averaged, 22 on, I'm sorry to the Hornets to call them out, because I'm not trying to call out the Hornets, but you know what I mean, like a team that's not a playoff team, a team that's, not really contending, and they're the main focus scorer. Obviously, they're not getting LaMelo, but I'm just saying hypothetically, you can't be like, oh, they averaged 25 on that team, they'll average 25 on the Warriors, or if they got traded to like the Lakers or stuff like that, right? What I'm saying is, like, you're looking potentially and hopefully, at a guy who should be a good contributor to the Warriors because he is making that kind of money, and you shouldn't, I guess. You don't typically just, like, they don't, like, teams don't just give you 4-year, $100 million contracts because they're like, we got money to spend. You know what I mean? Like, I understand sometimes someone has like a really good year, so they get like a bigger contract than expected, but like, they don't just give $100 million, right? You have to show something to earn that money. So my whole point is that works out for the Warriors in that sense. They should be able to trade for somebody who is going to be a quality player on the roster if they are to trade Kuminga. And again, they don't have to trade Kuminga. Again, my opinion of Kuminga, superstar potential written all over him. So, if Kuminga has, I guess you would say, a breakout year, you know, I think he already kind of, did and stuff like that. But like, even more so, like I don't think his numbers would his points per game. I wouldn't expect to increase. Like, remember when CJ McCollum went from like, I don't know, 6 points per game to like 22, and he won Most Improved on the Blazers? Like, don't expect that from Kuminga. You know what I mean? Like a breakout year for someone like Kuminga could just be like the impact with some increased, statistics and stuff like that, like maybe more rebounds and, you know, more defensive plays and stuff like that. Um, but my point is, they don't have to trade Kuminga. Kuminga could easily be a key contributor to the team. It just depends on how the season goes. So I think from the Warriors' standpoint, this is a good deal because it also gives them flexibility. It's not a long-term contract and stuff like that. And there are teams who want Kuminga, like the Suns, the Miami Heat, the Kings really want Kuminga, so there are suitors. So that's one thing. And then we'll talk about it from Kuminga's standpoint. Someone said, I actually appreciate your dedication to basketball. Oh, thank you so much. Like I always talk about every time, you guys, compliment me and stuff like that. I love the NBA, I love basketball, and, I just love talking to you guys about the NBA, and I hope you guys keep enjoying the content. Someone said, I'll buy whatever you're selling. Well, I'm not selling anything. The only thing I'm selling is not your content, but content for you guys to watch and enjoy, and for you to subscribe, like the videos, and share them, and, comment and stuff like that. So, not selling anything except free content. But if you, like the videos and subscribe and stuff like that, that would definitely help me as well. So I do appreciate, all your support. So I was saying something about, from Kuminga's standpoint now. Actually, by the way, speaking of the person who said, I'll buy what you're selling, though, I do have merch. If any of you guys are interested, I have merch. The link should be in the description of my videos. You'll have to, I'll double check after, but I'm pretty sure they are. I do have merch. If you guys, want some and are interested, I have merch. I have like t-shirts and like hats and I think sweatpants and like tank tops and stuff like that. So if you guys do want merch with the VitalScoops on it, my brand, my logo and stuff like that, that is also, appreciated as well. So check the description link. Check the link in my description of like the videos and stuff like that. Should be there. Again, I'll double check after this, but yeah, I guess I'm technically selling that, but that's obviously, if you want it. So with that being said, Kuminga's standpoint, sorry, I got sidetracked. From Kuminga's standpoint, this is beneficial to him in the sense that, like I said, when I started this video, he wants the flexibility over his future. And while he obviously, didn't get the player option that he wanted, it's a team option, which is not ideal for him personally. And obviously, the longer term deal will give him more money. This at least provides him with an option. Again, it's only 2 years, so, he has plenty of time in the league still. And he obviously will be, in my opinion, using this season to, prove himself a little bit. Like, again, there are teams out there who want him. We know that his potential is there and stuff like that. So that's undeniable. But obviously, he still needs to, like, basically, if he wants the giant, $200 million contracts and stuff like that, he still needs to, show some things. And especially if, I don't know which team he wants to go to, if he wants to go elsewhere. But let's just say he wants to go to Sacramento Kings, right? Or the Suns or the Miami Heat, the three teams that are supposedly, pursuing him. If those are his three destinations and he wants a $200 million contract from those teams, he needs to show that he's worth $200 million. So um it's not like it's not like sorry, Ben Simmons, but it's not like Ben Simmons, where Ben Simmons had already gotten his money, right? And then obviously we know it was very complicated and he sat out, and there was a whole bunch of stuff going on. It doesn't really matter. But it's not the same thing with Kuminga. So, and I don't expect Kuminga to do this, and he doesn't have, to me, he doesn't have this type of personality. He seems to, work hard and get in the gym and stuff like that. Like, I haven't seen anybody say that he doesn't work hard and, you know, stay in the gym and stuff like that. But generally speaking, he still needs to showcase, after this two-year contract, or maybe 1 year if the team option is declined, depending on what it is, that he is worth that $200 million, right? And so other teams around the league are watching still. Like, again, we know his talent, we know his potential, we know all that stuff. But he didn't get that max contract yet. And part of, getting that max contract is showing this season, like, despite all the chaos, that, went around and all that stuff, that despite that, he has improved, he's gotten better, and that he should be desired by every team in the league. Like, that's basically what he's trying to portray to every team in the league. And he believes he's a star, and rightfully so. He should, because he is very talented. So that's basically, I don't expect Kuminga to sit out, and I haven't heard anybody say that, but I don't know why anybody would expect him to sit out. I don't even think that makes sense for him, even. Like, even if he was, like, not happy, like, sitting out is not going to benefit him in any way. So I think the contract also benefits Kuminga because it also gives him, kind of similar to the Warriors, like how that dollar amount allows the Warriors to trade him potentially for someone who they want back. Because the qualifier, again, makes it a little bit more difficult, because the Warriors are going to be like, well, we're not trading you for another, rookie deal contract person who's not going to help the team, right now. So the qualifying offer could have, if Kuminga wants out too, could have had him more stuck. Whereas, again, I think the $24 million gives them more leverage. I'm just speaking based on, like, a trade perspective. And like I said, if nothing else, he got, some money. He can always, get more. And the Warriors, have him under contract. And he has the, ability to prove himself. Like, I feel like it's just a win-win, kind of, for both sides. I understand both sides didn't get exactly what they wanted, but, like, I feel like based on, what the scenario was, I feel like it kind of worked out, best, I guess. I would say maybe a little bit better for the Warriors, but I don't think Kuminga got, like, a terrible deal in the end of all this. So that is the Jonathan Kuminga situation. So somebody said 100%. Glad you agree. So thank you guys so much for watching.